Tennessee football defensive back Boo Carter, who spent time working on the offensive side of the ball in spring practice, gave his comments on Nico Iamaleava leaving recently. Carter was on a radio interview in Chattanooga, and he said, quote, about Nico Iamaleava, "It was really shocking that he left. He left his brothers behind, but this may be a better opportunity for him at the same time. You've got to go with your gut, but I feel like he should have stayed and at least talked with the coaches. We didn't know what was going on when he didn't show up for practice that day." This was on a comment with WGOW Sports Talk, which broadcast Friday from the Cleveland branch of the Warren and Griffin law firm. Boo Carter was trying to be diplomatic because he said this may be a better opportunity for him. You've got to go with your gut. But saying he left his brothers behind and saying I feel like he should have stayed and at least talked with the coaches, that's a pretty revealing statement by Boo Carter. So I'm going to rework today's tough question just a little bit. And today's tough question brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, play to win, why settle Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Did Boo Carter's comments and Nico Iamaleava's transfer reveal that the Vols are a very close-knit team, much closer than we thought? That'll be today's tough question. It's the poll. I'm setting it up right now. You guys can vote on it. Did Boo Carter's comments reveal Vols are a close-knit group outside of Nico? We'll do it this way. Boo Carter's comments and Nico Iamaleava transfer reveal remaining Vols. Okay, here we go. Did Boo Carter's comments and Nico Iamaleava's transfer reveal remaining Vols are a close-knit group? And yes and no are the answers. Please vote on the message board. Give me your thoughts. Well, we're going to talk about that because this is a kind of a big thing that Boo Carter talked about. Now, just to get to a few other things, Boo Carter talked about a few other things too. He actually said that Jakobe Thomas has decided to stay with Tennessee for a second consecutive year. We're not reporting on that because we talked last Friday about Jakobe Thomas entering the transfer portal. He's not listed in there yet. Carter is saying he's come back. There were rumors that he did this over money, so we'll see how that plays out. And Carter said Carter, who is going to start at the star position, would play with Thomas, Andre Turrentine, Ricky Gibson, and Jamal McCoy in the secondary. He basically said that he said facts in response to a question about Tennessee having an elite starting five in the secondary next year. So, and he touted the quarterback play. He said he thinks the quarterbacks are ready, the ones that were there in the spring. So I think there's going to be a lot to talk about with that. But in general, the real story, again, was Boo Carter talking about Nico Iamaleava. And it seems like Boo Carter and company felt genuinely betrayed by Nico Iamaleava leaving, which I thought might be the case, but you heard some people talk in defense of Nico Iamaleava. But let's just point all this out, what's happened recently. What we know based on Chris Lowe's reporting, Nico Iamaleava confided in a teammate about leaving Tennessee, and that teammate went directly to Josh Heupel. Boo Carter now says he feels betrayed by Tennessee, or effectively said Nico Iamaleava left his brothers behind. This gives off a vibe that these players are very close-knit and very loyal to Tennessee, and that speaks volumes to them. So I'm going to say that Boo Carter's comments and Nico Iamaleava's transfer, does it reveal that that the remaining players are a very close-knit group? Certainly looks like it. The show brought to you by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney, play to win. Why settle? Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones, banksandjones.com. Quick message for them.
Why Banks & Jones? Well, it's because they're Tennessee's trial attorney. You can play to win with Banks & Jones because they'll go to trial. You've heard of other lawyers. They say they'll go to trial and fight for you. They won't. They just want to settle. That's the easiest way out. Well, that's not Banks & Jones, led by T. Scott Jones. They won't settle. They'll go to trial for you. Tennessee's trial attorney. They play to win. Truly, Tennessee's trial attorney when it comes to criminal defense or personal injury. Why settle? It's Banks & Jones. T. Scott Jones.
All right, welcome back to Off the Hook Sports. The poll question: Did Boo Carter's comments and Nico Iamaleava's transfer reveal the remaining Vols are close-knit group? 100% of you say yes, 0% of you say no. That's pretty revealing, actually. That's kind of shocking. I thought some of you say no, this doesn't prove anything. Because as you guys know, I mean, I know he's no longer with the team anymore. We're going to talk about him getting drafted, but Dante Thornton actually did defend Nico Iamaleava and talk about people not knowing the full story. So, I mean, look, I'm just going with what other people have said, but it does seem like Boo Carter has basically revealed that he is loyal to this program, and you got to give him credit for that. And maybe not fully loyal. Maybe there's some pay for play. Maybe there's some people that, everybody's making decisions for themselves. But I think the idea is once you're there in spring practice, here's where I think this goes. I think the idea is once you've done whatever negotiating you need to do to get the money for yourself or whatever, you need to stay loyal with the guys that you're going into the trenches with. And I think that's the way a lot of football players think. I think that's the way football teams think. And remember this, we had reports from SI. We always heard about Nico Iamaleava and Mike Matthews, but SI reported at the end of January that Nico Iamaleava and Boo Carter were working out together in the offseason. It seems like they were really trying to work Boo Carter into the system as the slot receiver, the two-way player, alternating time with Braylon Staley. So, and then Nico even talked about Boo Carter kind of being a leader in the receiver room, even though he was a defensive back. So I think Boo Carter making this comment really reveals how close-knit some of the Vols are, and it really shows how much of a leader Boo Carter could turn out to be. So honestly, this is a very good sign for the Vols in a certain way. I would venture to say that Boo Carter is going to, as a sophomore, emerge as one of the best leaders for this team. But I mean, that comment right there, he left his brothers behind. I mean, that is a revealing comment about how he and a lot of other people feel about the way Nico Iamaleava left. Because I didn't see somebody saying that. I'll be honest with you, I did not see that coming. I thought there might be a little bit more diplomatic talk, but I didn't see that coming. As far as, again, him saying Jakobe Thomas is staying, that really shows Boo Carter's leadership too. So maybe another today's tough question. And I'm going to set this up for you guys now because this one's not even debatable. Is Boo Carter the best leader on the team as a sophomore? Is Boo Carter now the Vols' best leader, even though he's a sophomore? Because that's my new today's tough question. Because quite honestly, I think Boo Carter is showing a level of loyalty, maturity, and commitment to the program that we haven't seen from a lot of people at Tennessee. I think Boo Carter is, I think he did do a lot of his negotiations was not about money. A lot of his negotiations, for those who don't know, is about more playing different roles and things like that, but he was always publicly committed to UT. It's funny, Boo Carter, there have been, unlike Nico Iamaleava, who Tennessee supported the whole time, with Boo Carter, there were consistent questions about his character and his loyalty to the program and everything like that, but he hasn't wavered. He stayed committed to Tennessee. We reported back in December of 23 that he was going to flip to Colorado the way everybody had reported, and he didn't. He was clearly recruiting for Tennessee, going on other recruiting visits to do so. And now he's saying what he said about Nico. I think Boo Carter is the best leader on this team, even though he's a sophomore. I really do. I know that sounds crazy, but I think Boo Carter is somebody that Tennessee's going to turn to this year. He's done very, very well, and he deserves a lot of credit. Portions of the program are brought to you by Chattanooga Mortgage. Congratulations, your home search just got easier. Buying a home in Chattanooga has never been easier. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. Chat with 2tsmortgage.com. So vote on the poll question. Is Boo Carter now the Vols' best leader, even though he's a sophomore? Right now, we got 14 votes, and we're at 50-50. 50% yes and 50% no. If he's not the best leader, guys, who is? I mean, Cooper Mays is gone. Amari Thomas is gone. People thought Nico Iamaleava could have been a leader. He's obviously gone. Brew McCoy's gone. Who is the leader of the Vols if Boo Carter is not their best leader right now? Who's their best leader? I mean, that's a real, genuine question. Dave, BS Osborne says Miles Kitselman seems to be one of, if not the main leader. Okay, Miles Kitselman, that's a fair one. On offense, at the very least, you have a point. David Speak said, I see Josephs, Arian, and Boo Carter as our defensive leaders. Joshua Josephs and Arian Carter. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I think those guys could all work too, but I think Boo Carter shows a level of vocal leadership that's not really seen nowadays from younger players, and I think there's a lot to respect about that with Boo Carter.